Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tonight, we're going to talk about why donating a kidney is safer than ever for the kidney donor. Uh, Interesting conversation coming up. So, we all know that living kidney donors can easily get by with just one functioning kidney. But did you know that now there is less than a 1% chance that a living donor will die as a result of complications from donating a kidney for a kidney transplant surgery? That's the truth. According to a new study from the Journal of the American Medical Association entitled 30-Year Trends in Preoperative Mortality Risk for Living Kidney Donors, there's a reason for anyone involved in kidney transplant or a kidney transplant situation to be encouraged today. The risk to potential living kidney donors of death over the last 30 years has been significantly reduced. In fact, the risk of death from donating a kidney is at an all-time low. The study was led by Alan B. Massey, PhD, Department of Surgery at NYU Langhorne Health, New York City. It was published online August 28th, 2024, in the Journal of the American Medical Association, better known as JAMA. So, what does this study show? The study shows that the risk of death for people who donate a kidney has dropped by more than half. From 2013 to 2023, the 90-day mortality rate for U.S. kidney donors was at an all-time low 0.9% per 10,000 kidney transplant surgeries. As we will see, there has never been a safer time in history to give a kidney. The risk of people who donated a kidney has dropped by more than half, according to the JAMA study. Advances in surgery, medical care, along with careful donor selection, have greatly improved the odds for kidney donors. The key message here is that people who volunteer to donate a kidney face an even lower risk of death from the transplant operation than they did 30 years ago. The study encourages more donors to donate. So why is this? Each year, approximately 6,000 Americans voluntarily donate a kidney, according to the Organ Procurement and Transplantation Network. Based on the data from 1995 through 2009, experts determined that about 3 of every 10,000 donors were likely to die within 3 months of the kidney transplant. Looking at 30 years worth of medical records from almost 164,600 kidney donors from across the country, researchers at NYU Langhorne Health found that by 2022, less than 1%, that 0.9% that we talked about earlier, less than 1% deaths occurred for every 10,000 kidney donations, or 36 deaths in 30 years. In other words, it is safer to donate a kidney now than at any other time in history. The study shows that after reviewing 30 years of living kidney donation, fewer than 1 of 10,000 donors died within 3 months of the surgery. Centers are still currently advising potential donors that there are 3 deaths in every 10,000 living donor transplant. And this study has made that absolutely obsolete. Now, when counseling donors, they can be told that in the last decade, it has become a lot safer for the operation for kidney donors. This becomes particularly significant when you consider that there are nearly 90,000 people on the wait list for a kidney transplant. The average wait is about 3 to 5 years. 17 people die every day on that wait list. How many of us know people that passed away while they were waiting for a kidney? I imagine every kidney patient on the planet. 17 people die every day on the wait list. Every 8 minutes, someone is added to the list, and we had only converted about 27,000 actual kidney transplants on average every year. So about a third of the people get transplanted, and we're adding people every 8 minutes. This new study gives us hope that someday soon, everyone who wants or needs a kidney transplant may be able to have one. So why is it safer? Why is the risk lower? Well, what they tell us is the risk is lower due to laparoscopic procedures and other recent improvements. The authors of the study suggest that improved surgical techniques, more careful donor selection, and better preoperative care are the reasons for such marked improvement. This means that the old estimate of 3 deaths in 10,000 donors within 3 months needs to be updated. In previous decades, male donors and those with a high history of high blood pressure were more likely to die within 90 days of the surgery, and most of them passed within the first 7 days after the surgery, more often than not from excessive bleeding or hemorrhage. The study validates that this is a very safe surgery with a very small risk at this point in time. Hopefully, this will encourage more potential living kidney donors to donate a kidney to needy kidney transplant patients. The study demonstrates that the kidney transplant surgery is meeting the critical need to be safe, or as safe as possible, for the charitable donor, who is required to be healthy enough to donate without prior medical problems. Fortunately, the long-term medical data shows that the kidney donor's kidney function tends to remain stable, and the risk of developing chronic kidney disease themselves is only slightly higher than those who do not donate. Quote, while we had always understood that the kidney donation is safe, our findings suggest that mortality among donors is extremely rare, and the procedure is safer than ever before, unquote, said study leader and author Alan B. Massey, PhD from NYU. Dr. Massey is a director of the Center for Surgical and Transplant Applied Research, better known as capital C-STAR, CSTAR, quantitative core at the NYU Grossman School of Medicine, where he is also a faculty member in the departments of surgery and population health. Dr. Massey points out that laparoscopic surgery has drastically changed kidney transplants since the 1990s. Now, instead of a large gaping opening like the old donor nephrectomies or kidney removal with a 6 to 9 inch incision, the current laparoscopic nephrectomy removes the donor kidney through a much, much smaller incision, backed up by the insertion of a surgical camera that is inserted through a thin tube for better vision. So, this new report from the Journal of the American Medical Association is the first since 2009 to look at the risk of death in kidney donors. During this updated time period, laparoscopic nephrectomies have become the standard procedure in kidney transplant, and the experts contribute this particular improvement to helping lower the risk of donor death. Doctors are taking better care of patients both before and after the operation, and following up with patients and checking on their labs post-surgery. Now, those of us that have had a transplant, for example, myself, I have a lab that I do every month. They do a blood draw. My doctor, Dr. Debbie from IU Health, is issued an order, and I go to a local hospital to do the blood draw, and they get the results every month about how I'm doing, and apparently I'm doing okay. So, what types of potential donors could face rejection under this new system? The results of the study further indicate that potential donors who may be frequently rejected in the future may have a history of high blood pressure and some high-risk males. Now, this is very interesting. Factors like age, race, ethnicity were found to have no effect on mortality. So let me repeat that. Factors like age, race, ethnicity were found not to have any effect on mortality. The risk was greater for men and those with pre-existing hypertension. So, how was this study conducted? The study team analyzed information from the Scientific Registry of Transplant Recipients and their database of transplant centers throughout the United States, as overseen by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. The death records were provided by the Organ Procurement and Transplant Network, a nonprofit organization that is the only transplant network authorized by Congress to oversee national kidney transplants. The researchers calculated the mortality rates that occurred within 90 days of kidney donation between 1993 and 2002, 2003 through 2012, and 2013 through 2022. They compared the deaths across 3 periods of time with demographics and health factors, including sex, body mass or obesity, and whether the donors had a laparoscopic surgery. The findings indicate that about half of the donor deaths occurred within the first week of donation, mostly because of blood loss. They found 13 deaths occurred on average before 2013. 18 happened between 2003 and 2012. And since 2013, only 5 donors died within 90 days of surgery. So, what were the results of the study? The results were, with only 1 donor death or less than 1 donor death occurring in every 10,000 kidney donations, or 36 deaths in over 30 years, and only 5 donors dying within 90 days of the transplant procedure, it is clear that the advice given before transplant needs to be updated to include the new statistical findings. This is a significant statistical drop of adults who died within 90 days of donating a kidney. So, what were the conclusions of the study? We had always understood that kidney donation is safe. Our findings suggest mortality among donors is extremely rare, and the procedure is safer than it ever has been before, unquote. This is from Dr. Massey, the director at NYU Grossman School of Medicine Center for Surgical and Transplant Applied Research, Qualitative Core. The risk to kidney donors is at an all-time low, and donors should be more encouraged than ever. The risk of kidney donation is safer than it has ever been. This should encourage more kidney donations and lower the number of people on the waiting list. It should encourage more living donations, more preemptive kidney transplant, all of which should encourage all of us as kidney patients. Being able to reassure that donors, that living kidney donation is safe and getting safer is paramount, because in the past, some potential recipients have been reluctant to accept a living kidney donation because of the potential risk to the donor. The findings of this study are reassuring to potential living kidney donors, recipients, and all of those connected to these people, namely family members, caretakers, co-employees, and friends, because now they don't have to worry about the donor dying from donating to the recipient. This should make it easier to obtain and keep the consent of the potential kidney donor. Even doctors are hopeful that reassuring data like this will ultimately help to solve the donor shortage in the United States. Quote, anything that comes along that says being a living donor is getting safer and safer over time will hopefully encourage more people to step forward and donate and give the gift of life. This is from Dr. John Feinwald. He is the medical director of the kidney transplant program at Northwestern Medicine. So, some very good news for all of us who are kidney patients, kidney advocates, potential kidney transplant recipients, and most of all to potential kidney donors. So I hope that you will share this video, take a look at the study. All of my research is in the comments to the post for this video, pinned to the top of my personal Facebook page. You can check that out. All kinds of great information in there. Just great news for kidney donors and potential kidney recipients everywhere. Let's talk about next week for a minute. Next week, our guest is the great Laverne Burton, CEO and president of the American Kidney Fund. We'll talk about the AKF and its initiatives, new date and time, Thursday, September 12th at 10 a.m. Central Time. And of course, my normal time, 7 p.m. on Friday evening, you'll be able to see the instant replay. So That will be something very, very special. And I'm looking forward to it. I hope that you are too. I'll be posting about it during the week, so you'll have the link so you can access the broadcast and the replay. So you have a good evening. Thank you for tuning in. Check out the replay. I'll be getting that ready right after the end of this broadcast. Please pass this around, and you have a very good evening and weekend, and I will see you next week. Thank you for watching.